this time.
We're rolling this time for sure.
Come on in. Welcome to my crib. Come on in, man. I've got Matt, the friendly camera guy, on video today. This is round 2. We got halfway through our last video and he wasn't filming, so welcome to my house. So Matt's helping me restore this place. It's an old late 1800s red brick farmhouse on our 100-acre farm out in Collingwood. We've gutted it. We're going to try to rebuild it and move in here in a few months. So we wanted to show off the crib and tell you what we're doing. Come on in, follow me, man. We've got one really big, exciting room out here. Camera guy's got
shit.
phone calls. Anyways, so this will be what we call the great room, or basically our living room. 2 stories tall. We're probably be about 20 feet from floor to ceiling, which I think is really cool. It's a nice big open room with a bunch of natural light in here. So there was a second story up here before with a master bedroom, big closet, and a bathroom up here. We've gutted all of that. And you can see we've got the old structure left. The way we're doing construction in this house is what's called a double stud wall system. So it basically means that we're going to have a wall on the outside with the existing structure, insulation in between, and then a new wall on the inside. That'll help with some kind of technical construction stuff. I'll spare you the details right now. But we're leaving the old existing walls for structure. And over this way, in those walls, we've got what's called a fiberglass insulation mat, just this pink insulation. This is only an R12, which is not that good for insulation, but it's really all we can get for insulation value with the depth of these studs that we have right now. So we're getting an R12 insulation in there. We are sheeting it with OSB. This is 7/16 of an inch thick. And what we're doing is getting a little bit of insulation in the wall, and by having the OSB, we're getting some rigidity. So we're adding shear strength to the walls. It doesn't shift and move. It'll help make things more stable. And it's also going to give us a bit of an air barrier. So as you can see all the way around the room, we've got this pink fiberglass, we've got our OSB, we're going right up to the top of the wall, and then we'll end up doing something similar in the ceiling. We'll get baffles in there for ventilation right up in the attic, insulate and sheet all of that with OSB like we've done through the rest of the house. We'll show you that in a minute. After this, once we've got our OSB on, we're putting on this rigid foam insulation. This is not that great for insulation value. It adds a bit. I think this is 3.75 R value to it. Just 1 inch thick, pretty cheap stuff. We're going to put this on top of our OSB in front of it, and we're going to glue and screw that to the wall. Once that's installed all the way up the wall and our cathedral ceiling, we're going to be taping the joints with tuck tape. There are some better tape products out there. This isn't perfect, but we just want to get cheap, basically a cheap construction method for getting into this house. We haven't got a whole heck of a lot of money. I'm hoping to do this under 150 grand. Like 3-4 month timeline with a few people. So the way we're doing this is kind of as good as we can afford to do with this old structure that we've already got. And in the future, if we want to do highly technical, sophisticated, high quality build, we'll do it in a custom home somewhere else on the property. But for now, we have our OSB, we'll get this rigid insulation on and we'll tape it. And once it's taped, that's really going to help us create an air seal so we can control the quality of the air in the house and not have external air sort of blowing in or contaminating what we're working with in here. So that'll give us an air seal as well as a little bit more insulation. Then in front of that, this is where the double stud wall comes in. We're going to build a 2x6 wall in front of all of that assembly. That 2x6 wall is going to give us enough space for the HVAC, the electrical, plumbing and other walls, any sort of utilities that you need to have built into the house before you sheet it with drywall. That's what our 2x6 wall is for. But the reason for this insulation in between the layers of walls as well is to reduce what's called thermal bridging. So wood doesn't have much insulation value, and you get a lot of heat loss through your studs right out to the exterior. By having this in between our stud, like our walls or our studs, we're going to not have thermal bridging. We're blocking the heated space that we have inside from losing energy through that wood to the exterior. Because we're insulated, we don't have thermal bridging. So that's how our stud system or our wall system is working. Once we've got our 2x6 wall in place, we can also make the whole thing square, plumb, straight. We can really finagle our walls in and out, because this old house is just all over the place. Nothing's square, nothing's plumb, but we can make our interior walls better that way. We do lose a little bit of square footage, but again, for the sake of working with what we have and keeping costs down, while still trying to maximize efficiency, that's what we're going to do. Again, out here, it's going to be a huge living room. We'll probably eventually do a fireplace out that way. some nice pod lights, maybe a chandelier or something in the ceiling. And then we're also going to hopefully do some new windows and doors. We're going to try to keep budget down on it, just, relatively inexpensive double pane. We're going to take this double door that we have over here, shift it over a little bit so that it's centered with this space up here and centered with the peak of the roof. So we'll change that door, turn that into a big window. We're going to shift this whole door over. We'll keep the window here on the right, and then hopefully get one more window in up there and over to my left as well. So hopefully in a future video you can see after we spend 20 grand on windows here, get a little more natural light in the space. On the back section here, this is covered up with some OSB right now, but there is actually a doorway in here that's about 6 feet wide and a little window as well. We're talking about the idea of potentially jacking this whole structure up, redoing the framing and trying to make this as wide for maybe 4 doors, basically 2 double doors with a post in between, to try to get a lot of light here, a lot of space to walk onto a back deck. In a perfect world, it'd have like a huge sliding glass door that just kind of slides from left to right to open it up fully. It's probably not in the budget for right now, but we will. Camera guy again. I'm just giving you grief, man.
Yeah, I know you are. I'll turn my ringer off now. I've learned.
That's all.
Second time's a charm.
Hey, everyone's got constant. Yeah, so we'll probably adjust this whole assembly so it's not just a window and a double door. Ideally, we can get some more door space here and some more light. And then that'll end up looking back over the fields, the mountain, the pond, do some nice landscaping once the house is actually done. In this space here, this will be bathroom. I'm thinking we'll probably end up putting your tub and shower on the left, vanity right in front of a little window that we've got here, toilet on the right. We might sneak washer and dryer in here. We might do it in the basement. We're still figuring these things out as we go. And this is just a temporary platform for when our roofers were getting new rafters in and installing our rough in for the plumbing vent. So that'll hopefully be a nice bathroom soon. Back out this way. This leads into the dungeon. It'll be a separate video or some other time we can stitch in some footage of the bench footing process that Matt and I, as well as a few other people, will do. So we've actually dug the basement out. We have an excavator parked right underneath where I'm standing right now to dig the whole basement out like 3 feet deeper. We're not undermining, but we're kind of loosening up the structure around the existing stone foundation. We're going to do a 3 foot, 4 foot tall bench foot, drop the height of the basement, and actually have a living space down there as well as all of our mechanicals. In this way, you can just take a quick peek because it's filled with construction craft. This will be the kitchen. We're still in the process of working through our wall system here with insulation, beefing up the framing a bit. We'll have one window here. That was already in place. In a perfect world, you get a really nice set of windows here looking back over the landscape. But again, for the sake of just being cheap right now, we're going to keep that window. You can get a really nice window in over here to look over the field. We're still working on the kitchen layout as well, and we'll probably just use used IKEA kitchens or get something off of Facebook. Try to get a set of cabinets for a couple grand instead of like 10,000 or more for custom cabinets. But cheap kitchen in here. We'll try to build some storage stuff in, some pod lights. And then as far as the wall system here, it's the same as in the great room. So insulation, OSB, rigid insulation gets taped for an air seal, 2x6 wall for all of our mechanicals, plumbing, HVAC. And that'll also give us some really deep cavities for wherever we have windows. Again, we do lose square footage that way, but it'll be very well insulated in here. We'll have good, high quality air. And I think it'll be a cool feature to have like a foot thick wall to trim out for your windows, somewhere for the cats to hang out or leave some potted plants or something. Out this way, this will probably be our dining room. Could potentially be like a flexible additional bedroom if we had lots of guests over or something like that. 2 windows, same system in here. Not too much to show. And then upstairs, you can kind of see what a finished stage or construction will look like. So then you'll be able to come in here. Where you first came in will probably be our front doorway. We'll build a deck out there. Have a nice way to get into the house. One of our battles too is I have a lot of personal stuff in here between tools and personal materials. And we have to keep shuffling it from room to room as we work on the place. So that's why we've just kind of got stuff everywhere. If I had more storage outside, we could use it, but it's pretty well tapped out. So this will probably be like a lounge / secondary bedroom. When the house is done, at least at this stage, it'll probably be a 2-bed, 1-bath. So if this is a bedroom, I like the idea of having a pretty open concept. I would have put the master here, because this is east, you get 2 windows, and as the sun comes up, that'll kind of wake you up in the morning. Nice view out to the front yard, but my girlfriend, Roselyn, likes the idea of a master bedroom that way. So this will be a secondary bedroom and or office. So we can set up a desk here, a couple couches, a little table. Pretty basic. We've got a more shallow ceiling height here. We're probably just shy of 8 feet. I think I'm like 6'2". We might have 7.5, close to 8 feet here. But that's what you get with the way the framing was structured. So again, in here, we've already got this insulated with R12. It's sheeted with OSB. We have just a couple tiny bits to tie up, and then we'll get our rigid insulation on the wall and these, the cathedral ceiling portion kind of going up to the ceiling itself. This way, it's a little darker. We'll see if the camera actually adjusts to this, but this will be mastered. So we'll probably have the bed here. We've got a double window. We've got a tiny like walk-in closet or storage space or something like that. I don't know if we really want to put a wall up here and a doorway in. It's pretty tiny, especially when we lose some of the space for our wall construction. But even if this is just open storage, we could put a curtain across, that works fine for me. We'll get a couple new windows in here. And it's nice that at least we've got a good view kind of out over the parking lot, out over the field. You'll be able to see the mountains a bit. So we should have some good light in here too. It's not as big, not quite as open as you might want a master to be. But again, because I work a lot, you know, we don't need the house to be absolutely fantastic or the way we would design from the ground up. We're just working as best we can with the limitations of the structure that's already here and our budget. The only other noteworthy thing is up here, we're only going to use a 2x4 wall for the inside wall of our wall assembly. And the reason for that is just to try to cut down how much space we're taking. It's already a little tight, we've got a tighter ceiling. If we had a 2x6 wall up here, by the time you have the insulation behind it and drywall in front, you're really losing a lot of square feet. So we're gonna just have a 2x4 wall, and hopefully that's enough for all of our trades to work with to get our HVAC and electrical in. So that pretty well concludes kind of what we're up to here. We're like, what, end of February right now, 21st or something like that. I'm really gunning to be in here by May 1st. We're still about $100,000 of materials and trades to get that done. But with any luck, a couple or a few more months of work and a couple of good friends to help in the process, and we'll actually be able to live in here. So that's pretty well it. Welcome to my crib.